Just how good has Eddie been? Welcome back to another video on the channel, Newcastle fans. If you are new to Black and White Banter, you've just stumbled across us on YouTube today, make sure you drop us a like, drop us a subscribe, as the support is always appreciated. It's been a while since I've done one of these. International break, a busy man. Haven't really had a chance to jump on YouTube, so apologies to anyone who does subscribe who hasn't had any notifications from Black and White Banter recently. So, Eddie Howe just recently won Manager of the Month for February, but how good a job has Eddie Howe actually done? Now, for me, absolutely fantastic. And I'll probably speak for a lot of Newcastle fans when I say that. Now, if we test our minds back a little bit to when Eddie Howe came in, we were obviously managed by Steve Bruce before he arrived. Well, in that there was a little spell when Graham Jones obviously was in charge. But generally speaking, we were a club who had just been taken over. There was talk about Bruce leaving because the owners didn't want him, and the owners were listening to the backlash that he was getting from the fans. Understandable. I would probably do the same if I bought a new football club. And we were relying on Alan St. Maximin to pretty much supply everything. We were playing counter-attacking football away from home, trying to soak up pressure and just catch them on the break, mainly through St. Maximin. We were poor defensively. We hadn't won a game all season. It was one of the longest runs we've ever been on in our Premier League history without winning a football match. And the chances of us staying up, if you'd gone back to late October, was slim to none. All of the stats were against us in terms of other teams that have pulled off the great escape. So Howe comes in. I was a fan of Howe coming into the football club. I thought he was a good appointment. I've always thought he's deserved another opportunity because of what he did at Bournemouth. Let's not forget he took Bournemouth from the bottom of the pyramid of the Football League all the way to the Premier League in a matter of years. And yes, he got relegated, which I think a lot of people tarnish him with, or paint him with that brush, that he spent money in badly in places. But he brought a team from the bottom, the brink of leaving the Football League to the Premier League, where he sustained them there for a number of years. And that is nothing short of like fucked up football manager stuff. So I was for him coming in. So what's he done since he's been in charge of us? Well, first and foremost, he's managed to win football matches. We had to stay patient for that first win that came against Burnley, first weekend of December. Absolutely cracking, just to get one on the board. And I think we all felt a sigh of relief when that happened. But then there was an awful Christmas fixture list. We had the likes of Liverpool away, we had Leicester away, we had Manchester United just after Christmas, we had Manchester City. It was not an easy run-in by any means. And we didn't pick up many points, as none of us expected us to. It was just kind of a free go. And at that point, you're already in the bottom three. You've only got one win on the board all season. We started losing football matches. It would have been very easy for that morale to be at its lowest point. And going into the new year, all the pundits were against us. Any player who went on social media or picked up a newspaper saw that everyone had written us off. Newcastle, richest club in the Championship. So Eddie Howe had a job in his hands in maintaining that morale when we got beat 4-0 at Leicester. We got beat 3-1 at Liverpool, where we played quite well. We got turned over by Man City. They beat us quite comfortably in the end at home when Clark made the mistake early on in that game. And it was just defeat after defeat after defeat. But he kept the boys together. He rallied them. And he knew, as we all did as football fans, that the January transfer window was on the horizon. But not only that, that a better run of fixtures was on the horizon as well. And we all know that Eddie Howe, well, I'd like to hope we all know, is more of a meticulous manager than the prehistoric Steve Bruce. So we were getting a man who was obsessed with what he was doing on the training ground. The pictures were getting released from the club. We saw it. He was jogging up and down like a madman, like a headless chicken on the training pitch. He wanted us to play a certain way. And we started to see that slowly but surely. Not straight away, because he's not a miracle worker. But the way he wanted to set us up and get us playing started to turn. And obviously January came and he was a very lucky manager, managing the wealthiest club in the world. We were allowed to spend money. But if you look at the signings, before we touch on how our performance has changed, if you look at the signings that Eddie Howe made in that window, they were so smart. And yes, there's still plenty of the season to go, so I'm not going to say those signings have kept us up. I'm not going to I'll touch wood that we do stay up. But look at Dan Burn, an absolute snip. He's looking like a 13 million. Trippier, one of the best defenders I've seen play for Newcastle. And I'm only basing that off like 3 matches. But he is something else. He is a next level of class. You've got Chris Wood. Hasn't set the world alight for us so far, but we weakened a relegation rival and he knows where the goal is. And he's allowed us to stay on this good run that we're currently on. And I just think Bruno, a marquee signing, one of the hottest bits of property in Europe. Arsenal are after him, and he's doing amazing things in France in one of sort of the Europeans' top leagues, and he plays Champions League football, European football. And the performances he's putting in for Brazil, I couldn't believe we managed to get hold of him. Matt Targett cost us next to nothing, and he finally looks like the left-back that we have needed, who is actually a left-back playing left-back. And yes, we spent just under 100 million, but in all of the areas that I would have liked to have hoped, we spent money. So I think Eddie Howe's transfer window was fantastic. And what we're seeing now from that is a man who has managed to turn round what must have been one of the lowest camps when he took over in early November, all the way through to December when we got beat week after week, to suddenly turn that around and have us go on an unbeaten run where we picked up 22 points, the same as Liverpool and Barcelona in the new year. Only the 3 teams who've got the most points in Europe at that point, is nothing short of miraculous. Nothing short of fantastic. But there's a lot of other aspects of Eddie Howe that I love so far. I love how he conducts himself in the media. I think he's very, very well spoken. I feel like he understands this football club already more than a Geordie and Steve Bruce did after 2 years in the job. He knows how passionate we are, how much we will back our football team if what we see on the pitch is positive and what we hear every day is positive. And I just think to turn around the situation that he has so far and put us in a position where we are looking in a very, very positive light in terms of whether we can stay up or not, it now looks more likely that we will than we won't, is fantastic. And touching on specific areas of the pitch, defensively now, we look solid. Fabian Schär and Dan Burn have managed to form a partnership in the space of a month and a half that looks a solid partnership first on the team sheet. We've got midfielders now expressing themselves. Joe Linton, Eddie Howe, I'm saving a special place for that. Eddie Howe has managed to turn around what if you go online and Google it, a lot of Newcastle pages called one of our worst signings in the club's history at 40 million into one of the best, most on-form midfielders currently in the Premier League. I mean, if that doesn't scream wow, then I don't know what will. So Joe Linton now is first on the team sheet for us. I say first on the team sheet for about a lot of players, which tells you the whole story. He's turned him from a striker not really known where any of us think he's best. Is he a forward? Is he a left winger? Into now a powerhouse of a midfielder who breaks up play for us, has the best interception record in the Premier League so far this season, which is an incredible stat alone in a team that's struggling in the bottom half of the league. He's first on the team sheet. He's a fan favourite now. He's on Hawaiian shirts. He's getting sung from the terraces every single game. You've got Joe Willock, who'd lost his sparkle. I was very critical of him. Now Joe Willock looks the player that we saw last season when he was on loan again. He's making the long bus and runs, and every single player on that field is playing for the manager. And I think the job that Eddie Howe has done for us so far deserves every single bit of hype that it gets. I'm not going to sit here and say he's one of the best managers to manage his football club. It's way too early for that. Let's stay up this season, which will be a fantastic job in itself, and take things from there with these new owners. But I honestly feel like Eddie Howe and the owners together as a unit with these players, we are starting to build something special if we can just stay up this season. So I think all the praise that Eddie Howe gets is deserved. I love the man. I think the world is his oyster at Newcastle. I think the world is our oyster as a football club. And I think what he has done, we will forever be grateful for Obviously, assuming we stay up, but just the job on a whole, how he's developed players that didn't look like they had a hope of being developed. We turned us into a solidly defensive unit, a team galvanised by the crowd, a terrace of fans now who are on board with what they're seeing on the pitch. And now we are looking forward to going to football matches. And I just think this job that I'm seeing Eddie Howe do, bearing in mind that he only came in November and it's only the end of March now, is nothing short of miraculous, and that can go on his CV. No matter how this season pans out now, he can put that on his CV and he can sit at home with a glass of wine on an evening with a beam and smile on his face. And yes, the owners have had a contribution in that. Yes, the players have had a huge contribution in that. But there's one man that's come in that time period and being able to spend that money wisely that he was so luckily given from the owners, and also turn around the results on the pitch. And his name is Eddie Howe. If you are new to the channel, Newcastle fans, I want to know what you think of Eddie Howe's job so far as a Newcastle manager. Where you maybe rank him. If you do think he's one of our best ever, then let me know. And where you think Eddie Howe can take us moving forward. If you're new to the channel, as I said at the start, drop us a like, drop us a subscribe. And if you haven't already got us on Facebook and Instagram, get us on there, where it's never serious, but it's always Newcastle United. And hopefully I'll touch down for a Tottenham match preview later in the week.